Right now on Morning News Now, a war of words in Washington after President Biden's brother testifies behind closed doors in the Republican impeachment inquiry against the president.
It's been a wild goose chase built on conspiracy theory and lies from the beginning. I think it's time for Chairman Comer and the Republicans to fold up the circus tent, and we should get back to work for the American people.
What James Biden told a House committee about his own business dealings and his brother's alleged involvement. Also this morning, campaign trail controversy. A Republican Senate candidate says he's softening his stance on abortion. The discussion that's found its way back to the spotlight ahead of the 2024 election. Plus, outbreak in the Sunshine State. Concern in South Florida after several students come down with measles. The warning now from health officials and what you can do to keep your family healthy. And an important lesson in Black history from one teacher going above and beyond. A unique tribute to Black trailblazers that's making learning fun. Good morning, everybody. I'm Savannah Tellers. Joe's off this morning, so you just got me. We begin with the latest on the House GOP impeachment inquiry into President Biden. Republicans questioned the president's brother, James Biden, yesterday for about 8 hours behind closed doors. That meeting took place just 24 hours after Alexander Smirnov, who Republicans had said was key to the inquiry, was charged with providing false information about the Biden family. False information that prosecutors claim it came from Russian intelligence officials. For his part, Smirnov's attorneys say he plans to fight the charges, but Democrats are calling for an end to the inquiry.
It's been a wild goose chase built on conspiracy theory and lies from the beginning, and now we know that Russian intelligence operatives were behind creating the propaganda and disinformation at the very foundation of this investigation. So I think it's time for Chairman Comer and the Republicans to fold up the circus tent, and we should get back to work for the American people.
For more, we're joined by NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin. Julie, good morning. So let's start with that closed-door interview with the president's brother. What were House Republicans focused on, and what were your big takeaways?
That's a great question, Savannah. Good morning. It's so good to be with you. James Biden testified for hours yesterday behind closed doors. This is kind of the run-of-the-mill procedure we've seen with House Republicans looking to impeach the president. The thing is, though, James Biden came in there and told House Republicans and House Democrats that his brother, Joe Biden, the president, had no involvement in his business dealings. He said he kept his personal relationship with his brother separate from his 50-year career in various businesses. Of course, this pokes a hole in Republicans' central argument, who have tried to prove over the last several months that President Biden had benefited financially from these business relationships that both his brother and his son Hunter have had, Savannah.
So this is all playing out against the backdrop of the arrest of Alexander Smirnov, as I mentioned. Just put in context how crucial he was to this whole impeachment inquiry in the first place.
This was really House Republicans' star witness, if you will. This is what they based and who they based pretty much their entire impeachment foundation into the president on. Obviously, these revelations, especially that Smirnov was getting this information from Russian officials, it calls everything into question. But Jim Jordan said just yesterday that this quote, in his words, fundamentally does not change the case, does not change the facts and evidence that Republicans are pursuing. Still, though, it's been many months. Republicans have not been able to connect any of these dots. They are still willing, by having James Biden, for example, yesterday sit behind closed doors for hours, having others in the future to pursue their impeachment inquiry. The question is, because of all these poked holes in their argument, will there even be enough votes to formalize this inquiry, to formalize the impeachment articles against the president? That really does remain to be seen.
We know House Republicans are moving forward with their impeachment inquiry. Where do things go from here?
Yeah, well, next week on February 28th, they're going to sit down with Hunter Biden, the president's son, behind closed doors. Obviously, he's facing a slew of charges. There's a special counsel investigation looking into it. All of those tax and gun charges unrelated to anything that President Biden had done. But still, this is the committee. This is Republicans trying to connect the dots, if you will, trying to see if there's any evidence linking the business dealings of Joe Biden's son, of his brother, of any of his family or business associates with anything that he could have profited from while while in office. The thing is, though, Jim Jordan admitted yesterday, he's admitted many times before, that these are events that happened before Biden was in the White House. This is when he was vice president, even his time as senator. So it's not really clear how they're going to use impeachment, of course, to go to those high crimes and misdemeanors, to meet that threshold when they're looking at events before Biden even took the White House. But still, they're going to push on because they've certainly promised a lot and they hope to deliver on it.
All right, Julie Sirkin, thank you so much. Well, there's another Biden family member making headlines this morning. New documents show that the Biden family dog, Commander, bit Secret Service agents on at least 24 occasions over a 9-month period. The documents were revealed from Freedom of Information requests and first reported by CNN. They say the agents were bitten on the wrist, chest, thigh, and shoulder, and revealed the Secret Service changed their tactics around the German Shepherd to, quote, give lots of room. Commander was removed from the White House in October after one agent needed medical treatment for a severe bite. A White House spokesperson said the environment, quote, simply proved too much for Commander. Well, this morning there's been a leadership shakeup at Boeing. Of course, this is less than 2 months after a panel blew out of one of its jets mid-flight during an Alaska Airlines flight. Boeing's CEO announced Ed Clark, the head of its 737 MAX program, is leaving the company effective immediately. Kate Ringgold, vice president of 737 delivery operations, will take his place. Boeing also named Elizabeth Lund to a newly created position of senior vice president of quality for the commercial airplane unit. This is the first significant staffing change we've seen since that January 5th accident. Well, the family of a Russian-American dual national detained in Russia has been speaking out about her plight. L.A. resident Ksenia Karelina, stands accused of treason for allegedly donating money in support of Ukraine. Her U.S. employer said she donated $51.80 to a Ukrainian charity, but the authorities have not confirmed that. NBC News international correspondent Josh Letterman joins us now for more on this. Josh, good morning. So what is the latest on her situation, and what did we hear from her family?
Well, hey, good morning, Savannah. The court in the region where Ksenia Karelina is being held has just announced a hearing for next Thursday, so a week from today. But that is expected to take place behind closed doors and really just to focus on whether to keep her detained while this case goes forward. So unlikely to get into the substance of the case. But in the meantime, the U.S. government is warning there may not be that much they can do to help her because Russia does not recognize her U.S. citizenship, dual citizenship. But in the meantime, we're also hearing now from her boyfriend about what she thinks about her Russian identity. Take a listen.
She's so proud to be Russian. I mean that, like, she is so proud to be Russian. And she doesn't watch the news. She doesn't intervene with anything about the war. And she's proud to be Russian. And we never spoke about it. Like, she doesn't want to speak about it. She's just like, you know, like I said, if you saw how happy she was to go home, she did not have a worry in her world. She did not, for the life of it, think that she would be in this situation.
Now, Karelina's boyfriend also says that she arrived in Russia last month to visit her grandmother and was actually detained immediately at the airport, but then was eventually released. He said several weeks later she went back to get her cell phone from authorities who were holding on to it, and that was the last time that he heard from Ksenia Karelina.
There's also been this new war of words between Moscow and Washington. The Kremlin is hitting back at President Biden after he called President Putin a, quote, crazy SOB at a fundraising event last night. What's going on here?
Yeah, so the Kremlin says that President Biden, frankly, sounds like he's trying to be a Hollywood cowboy and is challenging the U.S. to put up any evidence of times when President Putin has used similarly, as they call it, boorish language to describe the U.S. president. But what is clear here is that relations between the U.S. and Russia are really at quite a low, and this is just the latest example of, as we see these multiple incidents involving Navalny, involving this ballerina, other incidents around the world, as well as the 2-year anniversary coming up of the war of Ukraine, just how bad things are between Washington and Moscow right now, Savannah.
So, Josh, we know the White House is planning to announce a new round of sanctions on Russia tomorrow. This comes after the European Union approved its own package of measures. What are they imposing, and do we know what the U.S. package is going to look like?
Not exactly, but the U.S. has said that this package coming out tomorrow will involve sanctions that are not only tied to Navalny's killing, but also to the 2-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine that is coming up. And they've also signaled that those sanctions are likely to involve Russia's military-industrial complex. In other words, going after Russia's ability to keep manufacturing the weapons that it needs to continue the war in Ukraine. But frankly, behind the scenes, U.S. officials have been fairly candid that they're kind of tapped out on sanctions on Russia after so many years of trying to punish Russia through these economic penalties. Russia has really sought to bulletproof its economy against Western-imposed sanctions. And so while this is going to be important symbolically, it may not have a huge economic impact for President Putin or for his government. Savannah.
All right, Josh, thank you very much. Well, staying with the war in Ukraine, NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel spoke with women fighting in the Ukrainian military about their experiences. Here's that report.
When Russia invaded Ukraine 2 years ago, it was a call to arms for Ukrainian men and women. In the capital, Kyiv, Andriana Susak made the hardest decision a mother can face, putting her 6-year-old son on a train for a safer area before she headed to the front lines along with her husband.
А ти мене 15 раз поцьомаєш? Ну, один раз. Один.
Ukraine was expected to lose the war, so it could have been a forever goodbye. But Susak was determined that her son not live under Russian occupation.
Between death and freedom for my son, I choose death.
Many other Ukrainian women made the same choice. And now Ukraine has more women deployed in combat than any other nation. 43,000 women in service, 18,000 of them with young children. It's all the more remarkable because women are not drafted in Ukraine, but must volunteer. A soldier codenamed Mavka and Halina Lutikova have faced intense combat and some sexism from male soldiers, which they say only motivates them.
I will show them that I can do even better than people around me. And now I teach them.
Mavka is a sniper and drone operator. Lutikova is a combat medic.
What's it like now, 2 years into this war?
You know, we are really tired, but then you understand why you're fighting our destination. It's too important for us.
What would you say to our viewers, particularly women?
Russia is the evil right now. I think it's unfair that we have such a neighbor. And we need your help, guys. We need your help.
Andriana Susak was injured when her vehicle rolled over a landmine, but returned to the front line and is still fighting today in the Special Forces.
If we will not have a victory, our children or grandchildren will fight again for their independence and freedom.
Our thanks to Richard Engel for that report, and we'll have more out of Ukraine in the next hour. We turn now to the 2024 presidential race. Democrats are hoping abortion rights will be one of the top issues that is going to drive voters to the polls in November. And as Election Day approaches, some Republicans are now taking a softer stance on the topic. NBC News correspondent Stephanie Gosk has more.
West Point grad and Purple Heart recipient Sam Brown will most likely be the Republican candidate for Senate in swing state Nevada. The Democrats are already attacking.
But extremists like Sam Brown have fought to strip away women's rights.
In an interview with NBC News' Natasha Korecki, Brown clarifying where he stands on abortion.
I would not support a federal abortion ban.
In Nevada, abortion is legal up to 24 weeks.
I'm not here to try and change anything about our existing law.
His position shaped, he says, by his wife's experience.
I just felt like I was all by myself, processing this major event all by myself.
In 2008, at age 24, former Army Lieutenant Amy Brown got an abortion. A decision she now regrets that she says left her shattered. Soon after, she met Sam.
He's helped me process it with compassion and with empathy.
The former Army captain suffered severe burns from an IED in Afghanistan. Amy was his dietitian, helping him recover, while at the same time, she says, he was helping her.
Women should always feel loved, supported. Part of that support is is knowing that there are other options beyond abortion.
Brown, like most Republicans, supports the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which has become a major political challenge and is largely to blame for the party's lackluster midterm results. Now abortion is front and center again in this election.
We need to make sure that we're caring for women during pregnancy and after pregnancy.
Republicans, in some places, changing the message. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News.
Well, if you're having issues with your cell phone service this morning, you're not alone. Outages are being reported. According to outage tracking website downdetector.com, AT&T saw its outages peak at 32,000 around 4:30 this morning. Down Detector says T-Mobile also experienced outages. Let's get you some weather. A mix of rain and snow is headed towards the northeast. We're going to get your forecast with Angie Lassman, who's here in studio. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Good morning to you. Thank God now I know why my phone wasn't working. I just found this out with everybody else. Okay, the more you know. Hey, when it comes to the forecast, we do have some soggy conditions across parts of the Midwest. The Northeast is going to get in on the action here. The Mid-Atlantic, parts of the Appalachians, all of us are going to start to see some rain and potentially a wintry mix working through. It's kind of a mess of a system right now, but it's going to be a quick mover, so we're not going to have to deal with this for very long. Still, though, could be some wet roads on your commute this morning and even this afternoon and even tomorrow in some spots. Let's show you those spots. We've got parts of the Northeast and New England dealing with some of these kind of showers across places like western Pennsylvania. You move a little farther north into portions of New York, and that's where we have a little bit of snow, especially in the higher elevations and potentially a wintry mix. The farther south you go, Pittsburgh and really south into portions of Tennessee, that's where we'll see mainly rain. But again, could be slower on that commute this morning and even into this evening. By tomorrow, remember I said it's a quick mover? It sure is. It's off the coast by the time we get into the afternoon hour. So we really just have to deal with it for the first half of your Friday. One thing to note, we'll see some of these winds coming off the lake. They're going to be chilly, so that means we'll still have the potential to see some of that lake effect snow. Places like Maine, near the lakes, that's where we'll watch for that. If you're wondering about accumulation, snow doesn't look too great. Rain, though, will have maybe an inch or so in some of the higher areas, but otherwise widespread. We're talking 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. Snowfall, remember I said it doesn't look too great? This is it, really. An inch maybe in places like Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. Otherwise, not expecting a whole lot from this system as we roll closer to March. Here's the deal, though, for the weekend. We've got the system that I just mentioned for your Friday, but look everywhere else. Plenty of sunshine, mild highs. Savannah, these temperatures in the southern plains, they're going to feel way more like spring. We're talking 70s for a lot of folks across Texas. The good news is dry conditions out west. I know people in California are super thankful for that. And it lasts not just Saturday and Friday, but also into Sunday, too. Plenty of sunshine across the country for Sunday. I mean, looks like a sunny Sunday to me, and near record temperatures in some spots.
There you go. And California really needs it.
They do. They're going to have much drier conditions for an extended period. So
that is good to hear. All right, Angie, thanks. See you next hour. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later, relief for tens of thousands of people working to pay off their student loans. What borrowers need to know about a $1 billion student loan forgiveness plan. But first, though, after the break, the deadly Rust set shooting. Now back in the spotlight in a New Mexico courtroom. We'll break down day one of the trial against the film's armorer. That's next. Stay with us. We are back now with the first trial in the deadly shooting on the set of the movie Rust. It's now underway. Armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is facing up to 3 years behind bars if convicted in the involuntary manslaughter trial. The movie's cinematographer, Helena Hutchins, was fatally shot back in 2021 with a prop gun by actor Alec Baldwin during a rehearsal. Prosecutors say Gutierrez-Reed introduced live ammunition to the set. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas has the details.
Jury selection has started in the criminal trial of Rust film armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. Gutierrez-Reed, who was responsible for the film's weapons, is on trial for involuntary manslaughter and tampering with evidence for allegedly handing off a bag of cocaine to a friend after the shooting.
I can't believe Alec Baldwin was holding the gun.
It's been over 2 years since the deadly shooting when actor Alec Baldwin fired a prop gun loaded with live ammunition, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins and injuring director Joel Souza.
Well, I didn't pull the trigger. Someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
Alec Baldwin will stand trial this summer after a grand jury indicted him on one count of involuntary manslaughter. He has pleaded not guilty.
So here's the box that I got them out of.
Gutierrez-Reed's attorney telling NBC News she is ready for her day in court and looks forward to the full truth finally coming out. She is not guilty of the crimes charged against her. Evidence presented at trial could include video exclusively obtained by NBC News in November.
Step back to your original mark.
As well as text messages prosecutors say show Gutierrez-Reed was using alcohol and drugs after work, including the night before the fatal shooting. If convicted, Gutierrez-Reed faces 3 years in prison. This criminal trial is expected to take about 2 weeks, and I asked Jason Bowles, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's criminal attorney, if she will take the stand, and he wouldn't answer the question. But we do know that sheriffs and some of the first responders who were on the scene in 2021 will be testifying. Back to you.
All right, Chloe, thank you so much. Now we have NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas here on set for more on this. Danny, great to have you with us as always. So let's pick up on what Chloe was just talking about there at the end, whether Hannah Gutierrez-Reed will testify in the trial. You always talk about the risk that is. Obviously, we know there could be major benefit, but it comes at that great risk. What do you make on this one of that?
You know, historically, the rule was never put your client on the stand, but the trend appears to be in the opposite direction, especially in high-profile cases. You see a lot of defendants taking the stand with mixed results. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes not. So there may be a new era coming here where you might see someone like a Hannah Gutierrez-Reed take the stand. But you have to ask yourself, here's the test. Is there a piece of information that you just can't get from anywhere else that you have to get from your client that warrants the risk of putting them on the stand? And in Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's case, I expect that's going to be testimony about, number one, how she certainly didn't bring live rounds on the set, and number two, how she didn't know when she was loading the weapon that these were live rounds. However, that could be problematic on cross because blank rounds look different than dummy rounds, which also look different from live rounds. And I think that might be a sticking point for the defense.
Right. Let's talk jury selection. You know, that's how this is kicking off. Do you see any issues here? It's obviously been very high profile, very covered, and there's a celebrity involved.
This may sound counterintuitive, but with the Gutierrez-Reed case, I would not want, if I'm the defense, I do not want lawful gun owners, people who commonly use guns on that jury. You might think, hey, well, she's the armorer. Maybe gun owners would sympathize with her. I don't think so. I've used gun experts. I know a lot of folks who are lawful gun owners, who are hunters. They tend to be very harsh in judging the negligence of other gun owners. They would see someone, in my view, like Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, as ruining it for the rest of them with her negligence. Because when you're around gun experts and gun owners, they're aware of the rules of gun safety. They're aware of all the procedure that you need to do to load a weapon, to clean a weapon. For them, procedure is everything. And if someone who violates procedure, allegedly, like the armorer allegedly did, they're likely to judge her harshly. So it may sound counterintuitive, but I don't want gun owners for the defense on this jury.
So you bring up the question of who brought the live rounds. If you're saying, you know, she's going to go on the stand and maybe say that, she's who we need to hear that from. Let's just say it's sort of inconclusive where they came from. Legally, does the blame still fall on her as the armorer? Like, if that question, which has been a huge question this whole time, how did they even get there? It's a movie set. Why would you ever have a live round there? If that question continues to not have clarity, what do we do from there?
Yeah, it would make that a central theme of the defense's case in this particular trial. And if I was defending Alec Baldwin as well. I mean, that's one of several central themes, but the main one for this defendant, which is the empty chair defense. You point to the empty chair of whoever brought those live rounds or sent those live rounds on the set, because I think they're going to be able to prove that Gutierrez-Reed loaded the rounds into the firearm, but nobody seems to know how they got on set. Gutierrez-Reed has actually sued a supplier in connection, alleging that the supplier was responsible for the live rounds on the set. But if I'm the defense, I say, look, the state doesn't even care. They haven't burnt any calories finding out how these live rounds got on set. That's the real criminal here. You're going to hold this person responsible for loading what she believed were either dummy rounds or blank rounds, more likely dummy rounds. That's where you get into a little bit of problem, because dummy and blanks look different and sound different. The dummies look like real rounds, but they have a BB in them, so you shake them, and you should be able to tell. So that might be a problem for her. She should have caught them. That's the issue. However, there's blame to go around, and that's what happens in these similar movie set shootings. There have been a couple over the years where they decline to prosecute because the blame is spread out over a lot of people doing each of their own little dumb things that led to this tragic event.
Danny Savallo's fascinating. As always, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. Coming up, cases of the measles. They're on the rise in South Florida. When we come back, the growing concern after an outbreak at an elementary school. This is Morning News Now. We're back now with a look at one Florida school dealing with a measles outbreak that has made at least 6 elementary school kids sick. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock reports.
Thank you for being here. Staff, thank you so much.
Class is in session at Manatee Bay Elementary in South Florida. After a cluster of measles cases here, 6 in less than a week, has fanned concern for some parents.
Right now, I'm not sending my 10-year-old to school, so I'm keeping her at home.
We stepped up the hand washing and this and that, and we're just doing our best to cope.
Broward County Superintendent Dr. Peter Licata today at a monthly school board meeting.
The health department is currently at the school until 6 p.m. today offering vaccine opportunities.
Licata says the district is taking action to safeguard families.
We're doing deep cleaning. We're cleaning our buses. We've replaced all the air filters. We've done everything we can physically to make the difference.
Nationwide, the new year has swept in more than 24 cases of measles. Licata says 97% of Manatee Bay Elementary students have received at least one shot of the vaccine. But pediatrician Dr. Jack Orsez explains that Broward County is at higher risk for cases because of all the international travelers. Plus, vaccine exemptions for religious or health reasons are rising.
Are you surprised to see measles reemerging in 2024?
I'm very surprised to see it reemerging because it's something that's completely preventable, and it's only those people who refuse to immunize that are really bringing this back to the United States.
While families at Manatee Bay doing whatever they can to protect themselves.
We're trying to keep calm, right? Just so not to add to any potential hysteria.
We mentioned that the students here at Manatee Bay Elementary School have actually over-indexed in terms of being pretty good about getting the measles vaccine on a percentage basis. What does that break down to? Only 33 students out of about 1,100 in the student body. But as you talk to parents and stakeholders, what their concern is, they got brothers and sisters, and they can then get the virus and bring it to another school setting. That hasn't happened yet. But of course, that is top of mind right now. In Weston, Sam Brock, NBC News.
For more, let's bring in NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar. Dr. Azar, okay, this is a little freaky, and actually the numbers are showing that we're really seeing an uptick. The World Health Organization said that measles cases globally have climbed 79% with over 300,000 cases last year. Yes. I mean, this is something that we have a vaccine for. Why are we seeing an uptick like this?
Well, so there's 2 major reasons, Savannah. One is the pandemic. Vaccinations across the board for adults, but especially in that pediatric population dropped significantly, and kids were just behind on their vaccines. And there's also been, because of the COVID pandemic, a lot of anti-vaccine sentiment. So the numbers right now in Florida are around 93% of kids being vaccinated, and the World Health Organization has set the lower limit at 95%, which is required to generate what's called herd immunity, which means that there's enough immunity in the population to prevent these pockets and these outbreaks from happening.
So at this particular school, the numbers here that Sam was talking about, it's called Manatee Bay Elementary. 33 out of more than 1,000 kids are unvaccinated. So that right there is a number of concern. And then secondly, just remind people, if you have to have this technically to go to school, or how is it that so many kids don't have the vaccine?
Right. So it is incredibly concerning. Measles is the most contagious vaccine preventable illness. So if you walk into a room and you have measles and you're contagious, you are going to infect 9 out of 10 people who are in that room, which is why we are seeing these outbreaks happen. Wow. You're not going to get sick if you are vaccinated. So we're talking about these kids who are unvaccinated, and we normally think of these vaccines as requirements to go to school, but there are exemptions for medical reasons, for philosophical reasons, and where there's a will, there's a way. It's not that difficult to get someone to sign a letter for you saying that this is against my, belief system. And if you're in a place that is more lenient about that, they're going to okay it.
How serious of a problem for kids at this age is contracting measles?
Very serious. About 1 in 5 unvaccinated people will end up in the hospital. About 1 to 3 out of 1,000 children are going to die from measles. We think of it as, or I think I should say, perhaps younger generations think of it as a normal childhood illness. It was a normal childhood illness before vaccination. Yes, sometimes it's just a really crappy viral syndrome and you don't feel well, but complications like pneumonia, encephalitis, and even death can ensue, as well as cognitive issues. It is not an illness that anyone should want for themselves or anyone should want for their children, especially because the vaccine is incredibly effective, about 97% effective if you get your 2-dose series.
For parents at home who are thinking, oh gosh, okay, I've got a bunch of kids in elementary school, and the headline I'm hearing is cases are up 79%. Yes. What should parents keep in mind?
If your children are vaccinated, they should be protected. It's a series of 2 shots. They get one when they're about 12 months old, and then they get another one at about age 4 to 6. If your child is unvaccinated, I would not send them to school.
All right, Dr. Azar, very good information. Thank you so much. It was great to have you. Now let's get to an incredible story of family connecting across generations and after hundreds of years. For the very first time, 2 siblings from Brooklyn will see their ancestors' handwritten petition for slavery reparations after one man bought his entire family's freedom back in the mid-1800s. Here's NBC News correspondent Tremaine Lee.
Buried in the nation's capital by the passage of time is one family's extraordinary legacy. Siblings Adele and Richard are seeing for the very first time a rare document that forever changed their family's fortunes.
It was a revelation to us.
The Civil War era filing, signed by their great-great-great-grandfather, a free black man named Gabriel Coakley, awarded him something that most descendants of enslaved Africans have never received: reparations for slavery.
It's mind-boggling.
In the middle of the Civil War, nearly a year before the Emancipation Proclamation, President Lincoln signed the Compensated Emancipation Act of 1862, ending slavery in the district, while also paying off D.C.'s white enslavers if they pledged loyalty to the Union.
It was an idea of Abraham Lincoln as a test to show that there was a way to end slavery, but also provide relief to those slaveholders who were losing their property.
Nearly 1,000 white enslavers got reparations, among them some of the wealthiest and most powerful people in Washington. People like Francis Preston Blair Sr., an advisor to President Lincoln. Their, quote, property were human beings, and those people, generations of whom had endured tortured servitude, were offered nothing for all that they'd lost, unless they agreed to leave the country, even though by this time, many of the enslaved people were born in America, yet still not considered citizens.
Here's this opportunity to create a much more just society by providing newly emancipated people with the economic means to make freedom real. And we just didn't do it.
But Gabriel Coakley, already free, and the business owner himself, found a loophole.
As a way of keeping the families together and keeping them safe, one member would gain their freedom and then purchase the others.
Coakley had amazingly purchased the freedom of his sister, his wife, and their 6 children. To protect them legally, he never registered them as free people, so technically they were still enslaved.
Many states had laws saying that if you gained your freedom, you had to either leave the state, pay a fine, or you were subject to whipping every 6 months.
Wow.
He applied for compensation and was awarded the equivalent of more than $170,000 at a time when 90% of black people in this country were still enslaved.
He overcame so many obstacles to purchase his family and then to find the resources to get reparations.
The family line since has been marked by black excellence, scholars, doctors, activists, clergy, even a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
This is a remarkable legacy that he left for us. Who knows what we would have looked like as a family if he wasn't able to get this accomplished.
As they reflect on Coakley's remarkable reparation story, his descendants wonder what could have been if all black people had gotten reparations after slavery.
Our thanks to Tremaine Lee for that report. And Tremaine dives deeper into that story in his new podcast series. It's called Uncounted Millions, and that is now out wherever you listen to podcasts. Coming up, an important and memorable lesson by one teacher going above and beyond to make sure her students learn Black history. We'll talk to that teacher next about her unique approach. Look at this. This is a little hint. Look at these pictures. It's getting a lot of attention. We'll tell you about it next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. The Biden administration has announced it's canceling $1.2 billion in federal student loans for more than 150,000 borrowers currently enrolled in the Saving on a Valuable Education Repayment Plan, that's also known as SAVE. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona says the forgiveness will happen automatically. The relief comes after the Supreme Court struck down President Biden's original student debt relief program last summer. The president said this yesterday.
While a college degree is still a ticket to a better life, that ticket is too expensive. And too many Americans are still saddled with unsustainable debt in exchange for a college degree. And it's good for the economy as a whole. By freeing millions of Americans from the crushing debt of student loan programs, it means they can finally get on with their lives instead of their lives being put on hold.
For more on this, we are joined now by Mark Kantrowitz. He's a student loan expert and author of the best-selling book, How to Appeal for More College Financial Aid. Mark, thank you very much for joining us. So I guess first here, two questions is who is eligible for this cancellation? Who hears this and this is good news for them? But also tell us, is this definitely going to happen? How is this possible? Because as I mentioned before, the Supreme Court had struck down a prior plan.
Right, so this is definitely going to happen. It is part of an income-driven repayment plan where your monthly payments are based on your income as opposed to the amount you owe. After 20 or 25 years, normally the remaining debt would be forgiven. What the SAVE plan does is reduce that to 10 years for borrowers who started off with less than $12,000 in debt. And for each additional $1,000, it adds a year. So these are borrowers who switch into the SAVE plan, and so far, 7.5 million borrowers have done this, and some of them have reached that 10-year forgiveness point.
There are still tens of millions of people out there, right, holding on to this student loan debt right now. The average debt, actually, here's the balance. It's nearly $38,000 per borrower. When we're dealing with so many people with debt like that, what are some of the impacts of eliminating loan debt on the economy? What does this do when suddenly people are free of this?
Well, total student loan payments each year are about 0.4% of GDP. That's a really small portion of GDP. And the borrowers who are receiving forgiveness through the SAVE plan are a small percentage of that. So it doesn't really have a big impact on the economy.
For the many people who do have student loan debt, what are some other ways people can save on repayments or have it eliminated altogether? And then also tell us about any of the pushback that we're hearing to any of these plans.
Right. So there are several different repayment plans, and there's a tension between the impact on the monthly payment and the impact on the total payments. A higher monthly payment leads to lower total payments and lower interest over the life of the loan, but then you're paying more per month. So you can go with a standard 10-year repayment plan, which has the highest monthly payment and the lowest total interest over the life of the loan, or you can go with extended repayment or an income-driven repayment plan, which reduce the monthly payment but increase the total payments over the life of the loan for as long as 25 years.
All right, Mark Kantrowitz, as always, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Now let's get you some more financial news. We're going to start with a new report showing a record high number of Americans carrying credit card debt. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. So more than a third of American households say they have more credit card debt than emergency savings for the second year in a row. Now, a new report from Bankrate shows just 30% have more savings now compared to last year, while 32% have less. 29% have the same amount, and 9% have none at all and also didn't have any last year. Nearly 2 in 5 people are focusing on paying down their credit card debt and building emergency savings at the same time. Google has reportedly told suppliers to start making its Pixel smartphones in India by this spring at the earliest. It's part of the company's plan to ship more than 10 million devices this year and diversify its supply chain away from China while also capitalizing on a booming market in India. Google will be competing with Apple and Samsung in India, as well as several Chinese smartphone makers. India has been offering companies incentives to set up manufacturing operations in the country. And Samsung is bringing AI features to more devices. They previously were limited to the new Galaxy S24 series, but will soon be available to more users next month via a software update for other phones and tablets. You'll get access to Google's Circle to Search feature, which lets you search using gestures like circling, highlighting, scribbling, or tapping. Another feature called Live Translate provides voice and text translations for phone calls. And there's an interpreter feature that generates text for translations for live conversations. How about all that?
That is pretty cool. Love when you tell us some good uses of AI, Silvana. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Well, we all had that teacher in school who went one step further than the rest and just really made class come alive. Well, as we continue our celebration of Black History Month, we want to introduce you to a teacher from Exton, Pennsylvania, who's doing just that. This Black History Month, she's continuing her annual tradition of making learning fun by dressing up as Black trailblazers for the entire month. Tamika Burton is a Spanish teacher at Collegium Charter School, and she joins us now to talk about this project. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. First, just tell us the importance of celebrating Black history each year and highlighting these figures in particular.
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me. It is so important because Black history is American history, in my opinion. So it should be celebrated more than the month that we relegate it to, but to highlight these people for the month that we have is truly amazing for me.
I love these outfits. I mean, first of all, I just got to say they're impressive. How many costumes do you have? Where are you getting all of these outfits? And where did this idea come to you from to actually dress up?
All of the costumes, most of them come from my closet. The one where I was Little Richard, my coworker actually made that one for me over the weekend. Some of them are my closet. Some of them I borrowed from friends, family members. The Goodwill is my favorite place during this month. So that's where a lot of my costumes come from.
Who was your first that you dressed up as?
The very first person I dressed up as was Ruby Bridges.
Amazing. And tell us a little bit about Ruby Bridges.
Ruby Bridges was a 6 or 8 year old little girl who went to integrate a school. So I just decided, you know what, that's the first one. That's the one that everybody will get. So I just dressed up as her.
How do the students react? What do they think when they see you?
The students, I teach teenagers, so the students are definitely, at first they were a little weird about it. But then now that we're on the 3rd year, they are able to explain to their friends exactly what I'm doing. When the 9th graders come in, they're like, oh, what is she doing? They're like, no, she dresses up for Black History Month. So the student buy-in has been great.
Yeah, does it help them engage? It sounds like it does if they're having conversations with friends about it. But do you think it kind of makes, some of this actually stick a little better?
I would say some of it sticks, not all kids, because what I do is I give them a piece of candy if they can correctly guess who I am. So some students just want to know for their own knowledge, and they don't even want the candy.
Tamika, I know you've got some favorite. Oh, okay, great. I know you've got some favorite outfits. Tell us about who's been the most fun to dress up as and to represent and share their history and legacy with your students.
I have a few. Little Richard was one of my favorites. Jimi Hendrix was another. Bessie Mae Marshall Cunningham was a absolute favorite because I had a personal relationship with her. So bringing her to life was amazing. Guy Bluford, who just popped on the screen, was definitely a favorite because I got to wear my hair out. Pretty much any ones that I do are favorites.
They're all favorites. I love it. Tamika Burton, so cool what you're doing for your students and taking that extra step to help them learn. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Coming up, ready for liftoff. America's first moon landing in more than 5 decades set to happen today. The new mission meant to help future astronauts. That's next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. This next story might leave you starstruck. Well, a meteor flew across the sky last night. Some of you might have even caught it. Take a look at this because it was spotted by stargazers all the way from northern Washington to right here in New York, even parts of eastern Canada. Dozens of eyewitnesses said it looked like a big, bright light. Well, listen to this. The American Meteor Society says that thousands, actually, of fireballs like these hit Earth's atmosphere on a daily basis, but very few of them are actually seen. All right, so here's the deal. I don't have Joe here, you know, to laugh at my space jokes, so I'm kind of just saying this to myself. I guess I know my dad's up early in California and watching, so Dad, this is for you. What is money called in space? Starbucks. Ha, ha, ha. Nobody in the studio wants to give me a laugh? Thanks, guys. All right, we're going to end this hour on more space news. The first U.S. moon landing in more than 50 years. It's set to happen today. A private company on a NASA mission is planning to send back critical data for future astronaut missions to the moon. The last U.S. landing on the moon was the Apollo 17 mission. That was back in 1972. NBC's Tom Costello is, of course, the one following this new landing attempt. He's going to tell us all the details. Tom, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Listen, the clock is ticking. This is super cool. The Intuitive Machines moon lander scheduled to touch down on the lunar surface at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The first U.S. mission to reach the moon since the last Apollo mission in 1972. No humans on board. But the images and the data should be spectacular as NASA prepares to send astronauts around the moon and then landing within the next few years.
Now closing in on the moon at nearly 25,000 miles per hour, a 14-foot lander named Odysseus from the Greek epic The Odyssey.
And liftoff. Go SpaceX, go IM-1 and the Odysseus lunar lander.
The launch just 7 days ago on a SpaceX rocket from the Kennedy Space Center.
Mach 1.
With spectacular views of Earth as it broke free of Earth's gravitational pull. If the mission succeeds, it will be the first private company to land on the moon after other companies' recent attempts failed.
And the lunar lander on board could be the first U.S. moon landing since the Apollo program ended more than 50 years ago.
But the big challenge comes later today, landing near the moon's forbidding South Pole.
There is no GPS at the moon, at least not today. So we have to carry our own navigation system on board, and you'll see the two pods on either side of the vehicle.
The lander is built by Houston-based Intuitive Machines. On board, an Eagle camera that will jettison early to record the landing. Another camera will capture the Milky Way from the moon. And 6 NASA experiments to gather new lunar data.
It's preparing us for sending humans to the lunar surface in advance of the Artemis missions.
Future astronauts could one day tap into the ice water on the South Pole, but this mission timeline is short. Odysseus' solar power will last just 12 to 13 days.
Unfortunately, once the sun goes down, it gets extremely cold at the moon, and the vehicle systems will most likely freeze, and that'll be the end of the first mission. It will not return.
Hoping to cut down on costs, NASA has contracted with 14 private companies to send experiments to the moon.
We're only beginning to understand the materials on the moon, and I think there's materials that are worth something not only from a science and discovery standpoint, but maybe from a consumer goods standpoint.
And there's something else on board. 125 miniature moon sculptures from the artist Jeff Koons, named after historical figures and potentially the first approved artwork on the moon. Now, with just hours to go, the pressure is building to stick the landing.
Yeah, so listen, NASA has warned Congress of a potentially high failure rate using private companies for these unmanned missions. But even if half of them fail, it's still much cheaper than if NASA were to run these missions on its own. The big test is going to be just a few hours away. Set your clock. 4:30 to 5:30 Eastern Time. We're going to be watching closely. Savannah?
That is very exciting to watch. We'll see. Tom, as always, we know you'll stay on it for us. Thank you so much.
You bet.
And I know you liked, by the way, Tom, my Starbucks joke. All right, that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right now. Good morning. Happy Thursday. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe is off this morning. Right now on Morning News Now, digging in. Russia's President Vladimir Putin on the offensive this morning on the heels of a key military advance in eastern Ukraine. Putin even congratulating his defense minister as he looks to keep up the momentum. This comes as the White House prepares to unveil a fresh batch of sanctions against Russia next week in the wake of Alexei Navalny's death and the detention of that American ballerina who's now charged with treason. We are covering it all. Also this morning, family matters. President Biden's brother, James Biden, testifying on Capitol Hill yesterday as part of Republicans' ongoing push to impeach the president. We'll take you inside that nearly 8-hour closed-door meeting. Plus, phoning it in, some pretty troubling research this morning showing young people, not just here in America, spend more than 2 hours a day on their phones. We'll speak to one of the researchers behind a new intervention program that's seeing promising results and find out what steps we can all be taking to cut back. And shine bright like a supermassive black hole. Later in the hour, more on the illuminating galactic discovery that could possibly be the universe's brightest object. We love the space news here on Morning News. Now, thanks for joining us this morning. We're going to get started this hour with the war in Ukraine. It's approaching the 2-year mark. President Putin was seen meeting with his troops and congratulating his defense minister, as I mentioned, for the recent capture of a city in eastern Ukraine. It comes as the United States prepares to announce a new round of sanctions on Russia. NBC's Richard Engel has the latest for us.
There have been a lot of discussions and debates about U.S. support for Ukraine and how it's being held up in Congress right now and impacting the Ukrainian military. This is what we're talking about. This is where the Ukrainian military is feeling the pinch now that U.S. support has become more complicated. We are in the town of Chasiv Yar. This is right on the front line in eastern Ukraine. This is still held by Ukrainian troops, but Russian troops are advancing. They are now less than 1 mile from the edge of Chasiv Yar. And soldiers here say that they need weapons. They need ammunition. They need it now. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to hold this area or areas around here for much longer. And the U.S. State Department says that Russia, that Vladimir Putin in particular, is watching all of this, and it's encouraging.
Despite more American sanctions coming and accusations of murder, President Putin appears pleased that what matters to him most, his war in Ukraine, is finally making progress while the U.S. Congress holds up desperately needed aid. Putin visited an aircraft factory and met with troops ahead of the 2-year anniversary of the war this weekend. Long furious at his army's inability to defeat Ukraine's smaller military, Putin congratulated his defense minister for driving Ukrainian troops out of the eastern city of Avdiivka this weekend, the Russian military's first advance in nearly a year. Adding, we certainly need to expand on this success. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky saying the loss highlights the need for support.
It's not money, it's people lives.
Overnight, at a political fundraiser in San Francisco, President Biden called the Russian president a, quote, crazy SOB, warning, we always have to worry about a nuclear conflict. The Biden administration plans to unveil new sanctions against Russia this week.
The sanctions will be in connection both to the 2-year anniversary of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine and to Navalny's death.
Supporters of Alexei Navalny, the Russian opposition leader who died in prison, have been arrested in the hundreds simply for honoring his death. Putin is tightening his grip on power ahead of a rubber stamp election next month, even dragging a Russian-American ballerina into court, accusing her of treason. She allegedly donated $51 to Ukraine, according to her American employer. Her family and boyfriend are appealing for help.
It's hard to enjoy anything right now, knowing I have freedom, and she doesn't.
We have been to this town several times over the past 2 years, and frankly, we've never seen it this devastated, this empty. Most of the people here have now left. There are still soldiers here trying to hold this position because they don't want Russian troops to make further advances. But they say unless those weapons arrive and arrive quickly, they can't hold on for much longer.
All right, Richard, thank you so much. Well, there's more fallout this morning after Alabama's Supreme Court ruling that frozen embryos are children without exception. The state's largest medical center says it's pausing in vitro fertilization treatments as it researches the possible legal implications of the decision. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has more. Laura, good morning.
Hey there, this Alabama decision that had been flying under the radar, it's now reverberating loudly, running headfirst into how fertility treatments actually work in reality, with an enormous cost for so many families, often financial and emotional.
This morning, outcry in Alabama, the state's largest hospital stopping all IVF procedures, fearing a lawsuit after a controversial court ruling has patients angry and confused.
My rage knows no bounds.
The University of Alabama at Birmingham announcing it's pausing all IVF treatments, saying it's saddened as it evaluates the potential that our patients and physicians could be prosecuted criminally or face punitive damages for following the standard of care. Abby Crane, a patient at UAB, has frozen embryos she wanted to use soon.
I don't know what's next. I don't know if I need to be calling an out-of-state doctor. Not knowing is scary.
That uncertainty, the result of an unprecedented ruling from the Alabama Supreme Court last week, finding people can be sued for destroying frozen embryos. The court concluding embryos on ice are no different than babies in the womb. Fertility clinics and doctors across Alabama now in legal jeopardy as frozen embryos with genetic abnormalities are routinely discarded as part of IVF before implantation, part of a process to help patients avoid miscarriages or other complications. That decision now a hot-button political issue. Nikki Haley overnight working to clear up her position after these comments to NBC's Ali Vitale.
Embryos to me are babies. So
even those created through IVF.
I mean, I had artificial insemination. That's how I had my son. But when you talk about an embryo, you are talking about, to me, that's a life.
Haley later saying overnight,
I didn't say that I agreed with the Alabama ruling. Our goal is to always do what the parents want with their embryo. It is theirs.
While back in Birmingham, couples now feeling the effects. Unable to carry a child because of a rare blood disorder, Megan Cole had planned to use a surrogate with an embryo implantation scheduled for this Friday.
My husband and I want a child desperately, but now that we have this pathway forward with IVF, with surrogacy, and for it to be taken away potentially in Alabama is devastating for families who, all they want is a child.
But overnight, Cole learned her Birmingham fertility clinic canceled the appointment.
As for what happens next here, patients in Alabama tell us they may try to move their embryos out of state for IVF, but for now, they're stuck waiting for answers. Back to you.
All right, Laura, thank you so much. Well, the Biden administration is considering a series of executive actions this morning that could change how the White House handles the ongoing migrant crisis. According to several U.S. officials, changes to federal regulations could restrict people from making asylum claims at the southern border. NBC News correspondent Garrett Hake is following the latest for us. Garrett, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Look, it speaks to both the scale of the crisis at the border and the political potency of the immigration issue that the White House is now considering taking actions they had long said only Congress could to try to stem the flow of migrants at the southern border. This morning, as Republican rivals Donald Trump and Nikki Haley battle it out in South Carolina, President Biden considering a major action on one of the campaign's central issues, immigration. Biden has been under immense pressure over record numbers at the border last year, including from his potential 2024 rival on the trail in South Carolina.
There's never been a border in the history of the world that's looked anything like this tragedy. It's a tragedy, and he can shut it down.
This morning, NBC News learning the president is considering a shift to crack down at the border. According to 3 U.S. officials with knowledge of the deliberations, the actions would make it harder for migrants to claim asylum. Migrants who didn't meet asylum standards would also be quickly deported under the policy. The president would make the change without Congress after Republicans blocked a bipartisan border bill.
The yeas are 214 and the nays are 213.
The Associated Press reporting the White House is considering using a rule that President Trump attempted to use, giving the president broad authority to prevent certain asylum seekers from entering the U.S. Biden has repeatedly criticized his predecessor's immigration policies.
He'd rather weaponize this issue than actually solve it. So Republicans have to decide, who do they serve? Donald Trump or the American people?
The White House saying this morning it's exploring a series of policy options, but it's not clear which one will come to pass. And adding, quote, "We continue to call on Speaker Johnson and House Republicans to pass the bipartisan deal."
Now, any step the White House does choose to take here, especially if it's absent congressional action, will almost certainly end up tied up in the courts, making this a legal and a political battle heading into the heart of election season. Savannah?
All right, Garrett Haake, thank you so much. Now to Capitol Hill, where the president's brother, James Biden, appeared for a closed-door interview yesterday by two committees investigating the president, Joe Biden, as part of their impeachment inquiry. From where we're joined by NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles in Washington. Ryan, good morning. So what do we know about James Biden's interview on the Hill yesterday at this point?
Well, Savannah, we know that Jim Biden was very clear with this panel investigating his brother that Joe Biden has never had any role in any of his business activity over the 50 years that he has been in business. And he described it as no role in a direct fashion or an indirect fashion, and that also that he never had any financial interest in James Biden's work. And James Biden didn't just say that kind of as a blanket statement. He also talked specifically about some of the business ventures that he's been involved in that House Republicans have focused their investigation in, and specifically gave examples of the work he did and how his brother, whether he be a vice president out of office or even as president, had no role in all of that. Now, that's likely not enough for Republicans who believe that James Biden did contradict himself a little bit during this testimony. We'll have to see how it all plays out once the full transcript comes out. But it seems pretty clear, Savannah, that they did not get a smoking gun like they've been in search of for basically the 2 years of this investigation.
So, Ryan, given kind of what we ended up learning from his brother yesterday, and then also given, of course, the fact that we've been discussing this informant who potentially gave this false information, where does this inquiry go from here? What's the status right now?
Well, I'd say at this point it's a little listless, Savannah. They don't seem to have a clear focus as to how they're going to get to the finish line and exactly what they are going to focus on if they were to draw up articles of impeachment, and then whether or not it would have the 218 votes necessary to pass the House of Representatives. There is some private grumbling among rank-and-file Republicans that this effort is not heading in the direction that they want it to, and that it ultimately will just become a political distraction, especially when there are so many other responsibilities that Congress has right now that are just not being addressed. But as it stands right now, those in charge of the impeachment, and most importantly, the House Speaker Mike Johnson, have shown no signs of backing down from this effort, despite the fact that it does appear to be a bit stalled.
Ryan, we know Hunter Biden is expected to meet with House GOP members next week for this critical phase of the investigation. Do we have any idea when we could learn, or maybe specific people that could kind of provide information that bolsters this in any way? Do we know when anything like that could happen that could determine if the House GOP will move forward actually with articles of impeachment?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that the Hunter Biden transcribed interview that's going to take place behind closed doors next week is an important inflection point. I mean, Republicans really believe that they have enough information here to try and hold him to account under oath and get him to answer specific questions that they have about some of the theories that they have of this case. But, Savannah, I think that a lot of Americans should prepare themselves for the fact that there may not be a tight bow that wraps up this process. There's the real possibility that Republicans just kind of keep the impeachment inquiry open. They continue to do interviews here and there. They continue to collect documents, but it never really results in anything. By declaring it officially over, in many ways, that would mean that they exonerated President Biden, which is something they certainly don't want to do leading up to an election. But there's also the real possibility that this never makes it to the floor of the House of Representatives, and there's never a formal vote on an impeachment inquiry.
All right, Ryan Nobles with the latest. Thank you so much. Let's get you some weather now. Parts of the country are going to see record high temperatures heading into next week. Let's check in with Angie Lastman in studio with us. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Savannah. We've got a couple days until the official start of spring, but we are feeling like it across much of the country, especially the midsection of the country. We've got 60s on tap for St. Louis today. We've got temperatures headed to the upper 70s from Dallas to Little Rock. Those are going to run anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees above normal for this time of year. And even as far east as Roanoke, we'll see temperatures well into the 60s. Not Not quite as warm tomorrow, but still fairly warm for this time of year. Kansas City, you can expect upper 50s, Tulsa, upper 60s. Even Cincinnati will be slightly above normal with a temperature of 50 degrees. We're going to see them take a slight tumble here over the next couple of days, but we are right back on that roller coaster ride when it comes to temperatures. As we get into Saturday, expect low 40s if you live somewhere like Chicago. By Sunday, though, a quick warm-up already starts. We're back to the upper 50s, and we could be talking 60s in Chicago by Monday as you head off to work. Cincinnati, similar story. We go from the 40s to the upper 60s in just 48 hours, and we've got Nashville into the mid-50s, upper 60s, and low 70s by the time we wrap up our weekend and head back into our next work week. The warmth will continue here into our work week, so we've got just a couple of days where you might need to bundle up, especially in the early morning hours of places like Chicago. Now, one thing that's coming from these temperatures that are way above normal and quite warm for this time of year, when we see that combined with some gusty winds and some potentially low humidity, that means that we have the potential for some fire weather and at least a threat through the day today. You can see some of the areas, San Angelo down to Del Rio, Sanderson, all included in this elevated risk that we could see for fires through the day today. If you live in that little section of Texas, just be aware of that. Meanwhile, we've got our next system working across parts of the Midwest. Eventually, it'll impact the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, but it's going to be a quick mover. So this morning, it's the rain that we're tracking. By later today, we're going to see some of this kind of wintry mix across portions of the Northeast. We'll end up dealing with some heavy rain across the Appalachians. We could see a bit of snow for New England. And before you know it, if you blink tomorrow morning, it'll be out of here by the afternoon hours. We could, one caveat, see some lingering snow across portions of Maine, maybe along the lakes. We've got that strong wind that will be quite chilly behind the system, so no surprise if there's some additional snow. Speaking of snow, how about this snow drought this winter? We've got places like Cincinnati running 10 degrees below, or 10 rather inches below normal for snow at this point in the season. Cleveland, 27 inches under normal for this time of year. Syracuse, 63 inches below normal. Minneapolis, I mean, you name it. And we're really looking at a deficit across most of the country, especially places like Minneapolis. Their least snowiest winter, 14.2 inches. That was back in 1930. And guess what they're at right now? Savannah, 14.2 inches. This is something like places like Syracuse. This is 6 consecutive winters where they've seen below average snowfall, really a kind of a dud for 6 years in a row. And this is something that we expect to see more of. Notice this kind of trend that we're seeing since the 70s. 64% of locations are receiving less snow. Not a whole lot of us receiving more snow than normal. So this is likely something that we'll see continue as climate change continues.
Certainly been feeling that here. Although this year in New York, we got at least a couple of
We've lowered our
days
standards,
of real
really,
snow.
right? We hadn't had
exactly
any last year, so 3 inches at a time felt like a lot.
Yeah, so true. All right, Angie, thank you. We've got much more to come this hour of Morning News Now, including the families of Gabby Petito and her admitted killer, her fiance, Brian Laundrie, calling off an upcoming civil trial, why they chose to settle out of court. Plus, the harrowing stories of survival of Gaza's youngest victims of war after escaping Al-Shifa Hospital. Those stories and more are up next. Welcome back. The parents of Gabby Petito have reached a settlement in their suit against the parents of Brian Laundrie. 22-year-old Petito was killed when she and Laundrie were on a cross-country road trip in their van in 2021. Laundrie died by suicide, leaving a note saying he was responsible for Petito's death. In a statement, her parents said they had agreed to resolve the emotional distress case, quote, to avoid further legal expenses and prolonged personal conflict. Details of that settlement were not disclosed. Turning now to the Middle East, the Al-Shifa Medical Complex was once Gaza's premier hospital, but after the war began, conditions there quickly deteriorated. The IDF claimed Hamas used Al-Shifa as a command center, and in November, Israeli troops surrounded and raided the hospital. Trapped at Al-Shifa, look at your screen, more than 36 newborn babies. These images went viral in November. Power losses made incubators unusable, forcing doctors to move the infants to a temperature-controlled operating room. The babies were eventually evacuated, and they are now the subject of a new NBC News Digital documentary. In it, our friend NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin takes us through the harrowing journey these babies faced, including updates on where they are now. Here's a clip from her film.
كنا في كل لحظة نترقب الأخبار يعني يعني ما فيش أخبار مؤكدة أن الولد عايش ميت.
كنت مقطعة عن اتصال بابني. هلقيتها أنا لي تقريبا 45 يوم.
Baby Anas's parents rushed to Al Emirati Hospital, hoping their son was among the rescued infants. They scanned the list of names, and there he was, Anas.
الحياة إلنا.
Many of the Al-Shifa babies were suffering from dehydration, sepsis, and hypothermia. With Gaza's healthcare system overwhelmed, it was decided they would go to Egypt for treatment. Warde and Jalal were faced with an impossible choice. Keep baby Anas with them in a war zone, or send him to Egypt where he'd be safer. Because only mothers were allowed to accompany the babies across the border, they chose to stay together.
وقلنا إذا خلص يا بنعيش مع بعض يا بنموت مع بعض. وإيش بيجي من ربنا يعني الحمد لله إحنا راضيين.
At this point, they were sheltering at a school in Khan Yunis.
الحمد لله لقينا موجود يعني ما شفناهوش شيء.
Most of the Al-Shifa babies were sent to Egypt for care. Two of those babies are Noor Albana's twin daughters. They were born premature before the war. Now they're Al-Shifa survivors. Noor is a new mom. The baby in the incubator is her daughter, Lean. Noor has never touched her daughter until now.
أول مرة أمسكها. أول شيء خوف لأن أول مرة ألمسها، يعني أول مرة أمسك إيدها، أول مرة أمسك وجهها.
Lean's twin sister, Leanne, is being treated in another part of the hospital. Leanne is strong enough for her mother to hold her. Did you think this moment would be possible?
صراحة لا، ما كنتش متوقعة إنه يكونوا لسه عايشين. لا، صرت أبكي، عيط يعني.
Noor is the only mother here. When you see this row of babies without moms, what goes through your mind?
كيف حيتربوا من غير الأم والأبو؟ مين حيربيهم؟ مين حيهتم فيهم؟ إيش الرعاية اللي حياخدوها بعد رجوعهم لغزة؟
Erin McLaughlin joins us now here on set for more on this. Erin, so powerful, just this little snippet of what is a 14, 15-minute documentary that people can now watch online. Let's start right there with that family, that mother and her twin daughters. You see her being able to touch her child for the first time. I mean, it's just hard to even imagine. Can you give us an update on how that family's doing now?
Well, that family is doing really well. Both of her girls, Lean and Leanne, are currently out of the hospital. They are staying with a relative in Cairo. There's also good news at that hospital, the Noon Administrative Capital Hospital there in Egypt that took many of these babies in. At the time when the babies arrived, there was very little in the way of information. They had no medical records. Many of them were in extremely critical condition, and Egyptian authorities and Palestinian authorities were working to try and find the families of many of the babies. They were successful in that effort. 5 mothers have since come forward in the past few months, but the fact remains 9 babies are still alone in that hospital, including a baby known only as Halima. Halima is his mother's name. He's featured in the documentary. He's a little boy that had a serious, rare bacterial infection when he arrived at the hospital. He's since fully recovered. I just spoke to his doctor last night, the doctor telling me he's doing great, and they're now exploring plastic surgery options to address the issue with his right eye. but still no family.
Oh my gosh, it's just heartbreaking. What about the family in there where you had mentioned that they potentially were going to split up and they chose not to so that they could all stay together as a family in Gaza with their baby. Have you been able to keep up with them?
Yeah, Wardah and Jalal State had to make the heartbreaking, impossible decision. Either send their baby Anas, you see him there, to Egypt for treatment, or keep him in Gaza with their whole family in a war zone where he would not be as safe. Now, it's important to remember at that point that they made that decision. They thought Anas had died inside of Al-Shifa. They didn't know if he was alive. They were hearing all of these rumors. They'd been separated from their baby for more than 40 days. They had a real rare celebration in Gaza there when he came home. It was just a point of happiness and relief for that family. However, in the months that have transpired, they've had to relocate. They were initially sheltering in Khan Yunis. Due to a nearby bombing, they relocated to Rafah. Now they're staying in a tent. It's extremely cold. And Anas is suffering from a hernia that normally would be treatable, but they have gone to a number of hospitals in southern Gaza. Given that the hospitals there, they say, are completely overwhelmed, they're not able to treat Anas. And he has this hernia. He's in extreme pain. He's unable to eat, unable to sleep. And his father told us that they're afraid that they're losing him. He doesn't know what to do.
It's just heartbreaking. What do you want people to take away?
Well, you know, I interviewed one of the doctors who was really the voice of these babies when they were trapped inside that hospital. Dr. Ahmed al-Muhallalati went to the roof of the hospital under sniper fire when the hospital was under siege, and he lay on the roof for 4 hours to send out images of these babies to the world. It is how we first got to know these babies. And I asked him, why did he risk his life to save them? And he said to me, he sees these babies as the future of Gaza. He said, as long as these babies are okay, in his mind, there is hope for the Palestinian people. And I thought that was a really powerful message.
Absolutely. Just this whole conversation and the little snippet you've seen so far, so powerful. Erin, thank you so much. Incredible work here working on this, as well as, of course, when you were there. And you can watch the full NBC News Digital documentary. Please watch it. The Babies of Al-Shifa, the story of survival for Gaza's youngest. That is up on NBCnews.com right now. Congratulations on a great piece, Erin. Thank you so much. Let's get you some more international headlines now, starting with chaos in the UK's House of Commons after a vote on a ceasefire in Gaza. Josh Letterman joins us from London with that and more. Hey, Josh, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Savannah. Dozens of lawmakers stormed out of British Parliament yesterday protesting the handling of a vote on a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, this uproar started after the Speaker, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, who is supposed to be neutral, allowed a vote on a Labour motion for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. Conservative lawmakers accused him of favoring the opposition. Now, the Speaker later apologized and said he acted with the right intentions, but the chaos was a clear sign of just how divided British politics are right now. Now let's go to Southeast Australia, where thousands of people have been ordered to evacuate because of an out-of-control bushfire in Victoria. Nearby highways have been closed, and residents in neighboring towns have also been advised to leave. Officials say the fire situation will get worse before it gets better. And we end at the famed San Diego Zoo, where there will soon be a new addition. China plans to send a new pair of giant pandas as it resumes what has been called panda diplomacy with the U.S. Zoo officials say a male and female are expected to arrive as early as the end of this summer, about 5 years after the zoo sent its last pandas back to China. A report back in 2022 said that zoos typically pay a fee of about $1 million a year for a pair of pandas, which seems very much worth the cost to me. Savannah?
We are back with new developments surrounding the death of a non-binary teen in Oklahoma. Police there released preliminary autopsy findings in the case of Nex Benedict, who died earlier this month after a fight at school. Now the family is speaking out, asking not to be judged the way their child was judged. NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo has more.
Police in Oklahoma releasing preliminary autopsy findings in the death of a non-binary teen who died after a fight at school. 16-year-old Nex Benedict dying at the hospital on February 8th, according to police, one day after they were involved in a fight at the Owasso High School West campus just outside of Tulsa. A school Nex's mother told The Independent where the teen was bullied for their gender identity. Owasso police now saying the medical examiner has determined Nex did not die as a result of trauma and that the cause of death is pending until toxicology results and other tests come in. It's unclear if the fight was connected to the bullying, but here is what we do know. According to the school, a quote, physical altercation started in the bathroom on February 7th. The fight lasted less than 2 minutes before other students and a staff member broke it up. The students involved were able to walk themselves to the assistant principal's and nurse's office. The students gave statements to district administrators and guardians were contacted. The nurse determined an ambulance was not needed, but advised one student's guardian to take them to the hospital for further evaluation. According to police, at around 3:30 p.m., Nex's guardian called police to the Bailey Medical Center, where the school resource officer took a statement. The next day, the Owasso police found out the teen was rushed back to the hospital in the evening and pronounced dead. Owasso Public Schools says it followed proper protocol and called the death devastating. Nex's mother, Sue Benedict, releasing a statement to NBC's Tulsa affiliate acknowledging initial confusion over the teen's name in the media, saying in part, quote, "We are sorry for not using their name correctly, and as parents, we are still learning the correct forms. Please do not bully us for our ignorance. I lost my child. The headstone will have their correct name of their choice."
I'll be honest, at first, I didn't feel anything. I couldn't.
Former schoolmate Alexandra Davison is saying the loss is traumatic.
What are we supposed to do about that besides grieve?
It's not just Nex's story. It is a story of what is happening because of so much hate that is targeted towards the trans and non-binary community in this country.
Across the country, more than 500 anti-LGBTQ+ bills were proposed last year, and 75 were made into laws across 23 states. In the past, Oklahoma successfully passing bills ranging from banning gender-affirming care to restricting bathrooms. Currently, the state has 54 anti-LGBTQ+ bills in the pipeline, according to the ACLU, the most of any state in the country.
It's not just the bills. It's this culture of violent rhetoric and actions that are really traumatizing our community.
While many questions remain about Nex's death, it's clear the loss is being felt far beyond their small town.
Our thanks to Stephen Romo for that report. Coming up, phoning it in. We've got some pretty concerning new data after the break on teens and their phones. Why one researcher is comparing social media use to smoking. That is next on Morning News Now. We are back with a look at social media addiction and one expert who's trying to help teens with an issue here through a 4-week intervention. In case you needed a reminder, the most recent figures show people around the world spend nearly 2.5 hours a day on social media, or 144 minutes. Of course, for many people, it's a lot more than that, actually. Joining us now is Annie Margaret. She is a teaching assistant professor at the Atlas Institute, which is actually at my alma mater, the University of Colorado Boulder. She is also CEO and founder of the Post-Internet Project. Annie, first I just have to say, the Atlas building in the basement, the News Team Boulder studio, that is where I learned how to do this, so I know Atlas well, and I love what you guys are doing there. Let's start with this intervention and kind of talk through what it is. First, I want to understand you and your researcher have written about how some teenagers you spoke with, I mentioned this a moment ago, compared social media use to smoking, kind of like the addictive nature of it. And then I understand that you think about it more like a diet, which sounds a little bit more measured. Explain how these comparisons work, what you mean by that.
Yeah, thank you so much. So when we're talking, you'll see this in the media a lot, where people are talking about the comparison between big tech and big tobacco and saying people are addicted to their phones, they're addicted to social media. And so I think a couple things are important. One, to define what I'm talking about as a researcher. When I say addiction, I actually prefer the term problematic use. But what I really mean when I'm talking about addiction is when this behavior starts to interfere with your daily life, your ability to get things done. So that's the first part. And then I do prefer the metaphor of food because we are social primates. We, for thousands of years, care about connection and communication and that feeling of social belonging that these platforms are designed to provide, or at least to give the illusion of providing. And so the reason I prefer the food metaphor is that we can't just throw our phones out. the way you could with cigarettes. With cigarettes, you could say there are no health benefits to this. I should just quit cold turkey, cut it out, done. With social media, there are many benefits. And so treating it the same as cigarettes, I don't think is correct. And the reason I like food is that you have to have a really individualized approach here. So thinking about it, saying, well, some people can eat gluten and some people can't, or some people can eat dairy and some people can't. A similar type of thing exists with social media in terms of our behaviors. And so I like to, with the intervention, what we're trying to do is give young people, or people in general, really, we focus on younger folks, but give people the skill of being able to feel for themselves what healthy media consumption feels like and what types of media consumption make them feel less than well.
Annie, I know that this was, tell us some details here, 4-week intervention, right? I think it involved about 500 college students. Walk us through what exactly you did here and then the results that you saw.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the way it starts is just with them observing their current behaviors. So thinking about how do I currently use social media, what different platforms do I use, and then thinking also about their intent and agency when using those platforms. And so they start there, and then they take some standard psychological surveys related to various well-being metrics, as well as their social media addiction levels. And then throughout the course of the 4 weeks, they set some goals for change and report on their success in adhering to those goals, as well as reporting on those mental health outcomes and their levels of addiction throughout the challenge, throughout the intervention. And so what we basically see is that over time, people who start with a score that indicates healthy use, meaning their social media use is not interfering with their daily life, with their schoolwork, with their mental health, that they stay in the healthy range throughout the course of the intervention. But people that have either problematic levels of use or what we call clinical levels of use, meaning this is a serious problem for them, those people throughout the course of the 4 weeks move their scores change to move them down into the healthy levels. And while they're completing this 4 weeks, they're also receiving education related to the design of these platforms, how their cognition works, and creating motivational incentive structures for them so that they understand why it's useful for them to do this. And I think that part is super important. So there's two things that are important: their own motivation and their own agency, and setting their own goals. And so this is very different than a lot of the kind of prescriptive approaches you'll see, or parents telling you just put your phone down. It's actually coming from them. And they're choosing changes that they want.
Which you say is a really important piece of this. Annie Margaret, super interesting what you're doing. Go Buffs. Love to hear about this. Would love to follow up with you and hear more. Thank you so much. Really cool stuff.
Thank you.
Now let's get you some financial headlines, starting with some new data this morning on unemployment. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. So we're just getting the latest read on the U.S. economy and labor market. Jobless claims. As the number of Americans applying for jobless benefits fell to its lowest level in 5 weeks. So we got 201,000 versus 260,000 expected. That's even as more high-profile companies announced layoffs. Now, keep in mind, weekly unemployment claims are broadly viewed as a representation of the number of U.S. layoffs in a given week. And those numbers have remained at historically low levels in recent years. And this is despite the efforts by the Federal Reserve to cool the economy with higher rates. Boeing has ousted the head of its 737 jetliner program in a management shakeup weeks after a door panel blew out on an Alaska Airlines flight. Boeing says Ed Clark, who led the 737 business since 2021, is leaving immediately. Clark oversaw Boeing's factory in Washington state. That's where final assembly took place on the 737 MAX 9 jet involved in the accident. He's being replaced by the vice president in charge of delivering the 737 to airlines. Boeing shares have lost nearly 20%, or about $27 billion in market value since that incident. And Royal Caribbean is boosting its earnings outlook thanks to a strong start to the year and accelerating demand for cruises. The company says bookings are much higher than at this very same time last year. Consumer spending on board is also higher. That's another signal of healthy demand. Royal Caribbean stock is up about 60% in the past year, Savannah. I actually know 3 people who are on a cruise this week, different people.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to say I am surprised that they pulled that out after everything we saw on COVID, but
I know, I agree.
There you go. People love cruises.
Yeah.
All right, Silvana, thank you so much. Now let's head to England, where 2 brothers have a one-of-a-kind collection that could be yours if you've got the space and the time. NBC News international correspondent Molly Hunter explains.
Arriving in Cuckoo Land.
Hello. Wow. Cuckoo Land
Is an immersive experience. The cacophony of ticking, ringing, and as promised, hundreds and hundreds of cuckoos. It's overwhelming.
Oh, there it is.
More than 700 cuckoo clocks. It's believed to be the biggest collection in the world and belongs to British brothers. Maz, 69 years old, the expert clock repairman.
I've been doing it nearly 50 years, and we're learning every day.
And Roman, 71, the frontman of sorts.
We eat, sleep, and live cuckoo clocks.
The brothers, unmarried with no children, started as clockmakers at age 15. Then came the first purchase.
We bought that many years ago, and we paid £70 for it.
And then it spiraled. And now, as time flies, the pair want to pass their collection to the next generation.
So your ideal candidate is younger, has the money and the knowledge.
I would love it to go to a family, and it could continue in that family.
Most importantly, someone who wouldn't break it up.
What we're looking for is somewhere for the collection to go where it can be looked after for all time.
If this is you, the clock is ticking. Molly Hunter, NBC News, Knutsford, England.
That's an interesting one coming up, shining bright after the break. More on the illuminating astronomical discovery of what could be the brightest object in the universe. Stick around, that's up next. Welcome back to End This Hour. We are following a historic discovery in space. Astronomers have identified what may be the brightest object in the universe. It's called a quasar, and get this, it shines 500 trillion times more intense than the sun. Astronomers also say it has a massive black hole that swallows a sun a day. Well, I need a lot of help understanding what I just said. So lucky for me, we are joined by Dr. Savik Ford, who's a professor of astronomy at City University of New York and also research associate in the Department of Physics at the American Museum of Natural History. Dr. Ford, thank you very much for being here. First, can we just start on that, swallowing suns? What does that mean? How crazy is that?
So it's pretty impressive, actually. We know that black holes can swallow mass, and the more mass that they swallow, the more light is going to be emitted. So, of course, the black hole itself doesn't emit any light at all. But as material is trying to cram itself down into the black hole, it ends up rubbing against all the other material and heating up and glowing. And so that's why black holes are actually quite bright. And we think this is probably the brightest object in the universe. And it is a black hole. So that's really cool. And of course, it's really hard to cram all of that material into that small space. And so it's very difficult to actually make black holes eat a lot of material all at once. And so being able to eat a whole sun a day is about the theoretical limit, we think. So this is not the biggest black hole in the universe, but really up there. And so in order to be able to feed it, you can kind of think of like if you have a small child, right, it's very easy to get them as much food as they want. But if you have a very large, sumo wrestler, it's very difficult to get them as much food as they want. And so this is like a very large sumo wrestler, but somebody is giving it all the food that it could possibly eat.
Dr. Ford, we need you here for all of our space questions. I totally got that for once. Can you explain, because we're like talking about a black hole, but we're also talking about this thing called a quasar, which I think people are less familiar with. Like, what is a quasar and what's the relationship here or the difference between the two?
Sure. So a black hole is an object that is so dense that not even light can escape it. So that's, of course, why we call them black. And quasars are actively feeding supermassive black holes. And so this is that counterintuitive thing where you can have a black hole, and if it's not near anything in space, then it's not eating anything, and you won't notice that it's there. But if you have a black hole that has a lot of gas and dust that's trying to cram into that black hole, then as it's going down the plug hole and it gets into that really dense space, it's going to heat up. And so we see it. So quasars are just black holes that are eating a lot, basically.
Okay, so quasar, I was just going to say, it's like a super extreme hungry black hole. It is a type of black hole. Okay,
Yes.
cool. Thanks. Well, I love to learn something new. That was something new. What's the significance of this discovery? Like, I know it did take several decades before astronomers found it, and we only have like 30 seconds left here, but what does this mean you can learn by knowing about this?
So we think that in the early universe, these supermassive black holes fed a lot. And in the process of feeding, it actually gets very messy. They're very, messy eaters, very impolite. They throw lots of gas out everywhere. And in doing so, they have an impact on their galaxy and on the universe at large. And so we think they're very important early on in the universe, but we don't really know all of the details of how that works. And this is very exciting because it's going to be a black hole that's so big and so bright that we can look at it in really great detail in the next couple of years with new telescopes.
Dr. Ford, thank you so much. Fantastic guest. Great to have you with us and great to learn something new this morning.
Thanks, Savannah.
Thank you.
Always fun to be on with you.
Fantastic.
Bye.
That does it for this hour of Morning News Now, but the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.